And good morning as we're speaking to you live. Welcome to the Howard Eskin Show. You are riding with the king. The only thing worth listening to, and actually, in this case, and with the Howard Eskin Show, you can also watch it. Actually, you can watch it if you have YouTube. If you watch it or listen on YouTube, you can put it on your TV if you get YouTube on your TV. But going too deep here right now. But at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning, this is the only thing worth listening to because the rest of it is useless garbage and a waste of time. So here you might learn something. You might learn something. But today on this fine program, which is brought to you by Stillwell Financial Advisors. Jeff Stillwell's the guy in a world of changing financial things going on. Jeff Stillwell knows so much about everything that goes on. He stays on top of whatever changes might happen, whatever things you need to do to take advantage and not be hurt by certain things. Jeff Stillwell is the guy, and a really good guy too. If you're interested with our presenting sponsor, Stillwell Financial Advisors, call Jeff Stillwell at 732-343-0813. That's 732-343-0813. All right. On the Howard Eskin Show, it's you and me today because there's a lot of things going on in Philadelphia sports and actually outside Philadelphia sports that really really are not very good in Philadelphia sports. And I see there's already a bunch of people listening, and Ted listening from Cape Coral, Florida. I have people listening from all over the world. Somebody said, how great was Dombrowski? He didn't say anything. He didn't really call out Harper. It's just that news conference by the Phillies on Thursday was it's like a lot of news conferences now. I didn't really say anything. Now, he can't mention free agent possibilities by name, but he can talk about things that they need to do and need to change. And that's one of the things. There's so many things that the Phillies need to do, so many things. And we're going to talk about that today, me and you. The Eagles better win on Sunday, or all hell is going to break loose. I see Bruce said, I was right about James Franklin after these years. In most cases, I was right. Did I tell you the Phillies were going to break your heart? By the way, I see Al Gent in West Palm Beach, Florida. People down there love to listen to the show, and that's great. But so we'll talk about the Phillies today. They got to do more than just window dressing. They're not they're not close to the Dodgers right now. Dodgers play the game the way it's supposed to be played. Now they have better players. Okay, let's go past Ohtani. They still have better players past Ohtani. I'm not sure that Freddie Freeman's not a better first baseman than Bryce Harper. Matter of fact, Freddie Freeman does the things you need to do to win. And at first base, they really have some really good players on that team that do the right thing. So we'll talk about the Phillies, talk about the Eagles. They don't need to win; they have to win. This team's not as good as they were last year, and we know that. But it's unbelievable. And then AJ Brown. I'll tell you, he can't help himself staying off of social media. Just stay off. It's just they can't help themselves. They can't help themselves. But whatever. Pat X, see, you got the Schmidt poster that I gave away. I got another Schmidt item to give away today. But before we get into everything else, let me just and we're going to talk about the Eagles. Marc Lawrence is going to join us to take a look at the weekend football, and I'll give you the winner of the Mike Schmidt autographed Hall of Fame postcard. But first, I want to talk about some other important people that are part of this program, and that would be number one, there's a lot of number ones, but number one would be Audi Westchester. Audi Westchester right now. And I'm going to tell you that you cannot find financing for an automobile as low as what Audi Westchester is offering right now. 3.99% financing for up to 72 months on the following new Audis or new models: the A5, new redesigned A5s, A5, Q5, SQ5, the Q5 Sportback, the SQ5 Sportback, and the Q6 e-tron rear wheel drive. Audi Westchester. It's an all new facility. People are fun to talk to. It's always fun to look at new cars. Great people there. Have a cup of coffee, have some snacks. 1421 Wilmington Pike is a location. Special offer is not going to last long. People waited too long for last month's offer, and people that hesitated, there wasn't a lot of inventory left at the end, but this is a great deal. 3.99% financing up to 72 months on those new redesigned Audis, the A5, Q5, SQ5, Q5 Sportback, SQ5 Sportback, and the Q6 e-tron rear wheel drive. Check out the website for all those things, AudiWestchester.com. Actually, I see Bill says that Freddie Freeman is better than Bryce Harper for sure. All right. But let me also talk about another fine partner of this program, and that would be Piazza Property Pros. You want to redesign your property. You don't have to redesign. You just want to spruce it up. You want to make it better. You want to get a pool. You want to get a hot tub. You want to get a fire pit. They can do all these things, whether it's fencing, landscaping, hardscaping, excavation. Piazza Property Pros, 25 years of experience. They don't subcontract. You can do a lot of things with your property, but Piazza Property Pros can help you do that and really make it look nice for company, make you feel good while you're out there, whether there's company out there or not. And I wouldn't wait too long if you want to get the pool. Now's the time to do it. The weather's getting colder, but they can still do those kind of things. Call Piazza Property Pros for a free consultation. Not everybody does it for free. 610 566 2608. That's 610 566 2608. PiazzaOutdoor.com. All right. There's a lot of things to talk about. H.A. Brown. I'm telling you, I'll get to that. And Larry Boa made some good points about the Phillies on our last show, and I'll play a couple of things that Larry has said. But before we do that, I want to hear from you. And boy, if the Eagles lose tomorrow, it's the beginning of the end. Sirianni, too friendly with the players. He wants to be loved by his players. Yeah, but that's not their issue. They're just not as good. And the key position for the Eagles is their quarterback. It's just, it really is. It really comes down to the quarterback, and he's got to play better. All right. Let me see. We got somebody out. We have Jim out there, Joe. And we got, all right. All right. Let's go to Jim.
Hey,
I know.
like you were just saying, the quarterback just has to play better. I mean, it all comes down to the quarterback and the offensive line. I mean, they've got some injuries on the offensive line. Their backups aren't as good. And the quarterback's not playing as good. So, I mean, everything else just like trickles down, you know?
You know why the quarterback's not playing as well? Because the running game's not there. And he needed the running game to because so he didn't have to pass that much. It created some indecision on the defense, but now defenses are saying, "Wait a minute, we don't care if you pass." That's why they stack the defensive line of scrimmage. They don't let the Eagles run as easily, and when they can't do that, and the quarterback has to pass, it's not as easy. It's just not as easy.
Yeah, he's
Uh,
not a volume thrower. I go back to a little bit. You remember the 23 season when San Francisco came in here and killed them? And then after the game, Bosa and a bunch of the other San Francisco defenders said, "This is how you play Jalen Hurts." Ever since then, yeah, they won the Super Bowl. Ever since then, their passing game just really hasn't been the same. I don't know if it's related, but it's it. I definitely think it is. And then I think they let themselves short on the offensive line this year. I mean, they have Brett Toth as one of their top backups. He's been cut probably a dozen times in the last 4 to 5 years.
Yeah, and they obviously lost an offensive lineman to free agency because the problem is when you win, you want to win, but the problem is when you do win, you can't keep everybody, and that's an issue.
And
Uh,
another problem with that is with the way free agency is in football now. It's not like 15, 20 years ago when the salary cap was like a pretty tight salary cap. With the amount of money the league brings in, they raise the salary cap year after year. Instead of like 4 or 5 teams having some money, you've got like 15 to 20 teams that have like 30, 40, $50 million to spend. You know what I
well, and
mean?
the Eagles, and it's not a bad situation. You're going to have to sign Jalen Carter. He better lose some weight and start to play better. But they're going to have to sign him, Jalen Carter. I think they're going to have to sign Jordan Davis, but after that one game, he's been okay. He's been good. You're going to have to sign Jordan Davis, Quinyon Mitchell. Those two guys you probably have to sign sometime either this year
And
or
then
after this season. And
Cooper
Cooper
DeJean
DeJean.
in
Yeah.
another year or
Yeah.
two.
So you have young players that you have to sign, and they knew that. So they couldn't keep everybody. And that's part of the problem. I mean, hey, if Jalen Carter gets what Myles Garrett got, it I think this organization, I think the Eagles are in trouble. You can't give him that much money. If he got 40 million, Myles Garrett got $40 million. 40 million. It's just there's no way I would pay Jalen Carter that kind of money. And if he wants to go out on the free agent market, I think he's got another year.
He's got at least 2 more years because he got the whole
Well,
season.
they can franchise him, and he's got a year, and I think a franchise, and then
He's not going anywhere.
well,
And
no,
a quarterback, I know he's on the street, but it's for injury reasons. Someone they might look at is Asante Samuel Jr. He had a neck injury. I mean, he's better than Ringo and Adoree Jackson. I mean, he had a neck injury. That's why he's been out and wasn't on anybody's team. I mean, it's a name you might want to keep an eye on, but it's better. He's better than what they have right now. If you're going with the 2 other guys,
yeah, but they have more issues than just the secondary is a little bit of an issue. Their defense, and they're really not getting the pass rush that they got. They're not
no, the
getting it.
defensive ends don't have I
Yeah.
mean, they might have one.
Yep.
Do
Yep.
you think they have to win both these games coming up? Because
Yes.
The
Yes,
Vikings
because they
and the
can't
Giants.
lose. They can't lose twice to the Giants. They can't
Oh
lose
my God!
twice.
There's no. If they lost twice to that team, I wouldn't go to another game the rest of the
Uh,
year.
hey, all right. So quickly about the Phillies. Uh,
I think you just have to start over. I mean, you're talking about Harper.
start
Uh,
over.
if you're talking about Harper, and if they did want to trade him, maybe. I mean, you might want to look
They're
at.
not going to trade Harper.
Okay, but
First of all,
if they
who's going
ever
to take him with 6 years left? I mean, come on, man.
with somebody like San Francisco or San Diego,
Nah.
somebody like that.
No, the only team I can see maybe he would go to, and they're not there yet, is when the A's get to Las Vegas because that's his home.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But
I mean,
that,
but
but
they haven't even won a playoff series in 2 years. I mean, they're basically like the Sixers with Alvin Iverson.
and at home, I think they're like,
They've lost like 5 or 6 or 6 or 7.
well, no, they've only won 2 out of like 9 or 10 games. It's a joke. Hey, Jim, I appreciate you jumping on.
So
Thanks,
yeah.
man. Take care. Let's take one more call before we get to Marc Lawrence. Joe, I think we have somebody else up there. We have somebody else. All right. Yeah, Tony will be quick. Tony can't even Tony can't even frame up his camera. But go ahead, Tony.
Hey, what a game that Otani had, the
Really? You mean 3 home runs and 6 shutout innings with 10 strikeouts is a good game, huh?
we
Boy, now
pitched a good game too.
Tony, you really brought something to the table by telling me that. Come on, man.
Now, what about Tippett with the Flyers? I'd keep that guy.
Let's get back to how far do you think the Phillies are behind the Dodgers in terms of being able to get to the World Series, let alone win a World Series?
Far.
Yeah,
They don't have that. Edmund. They don't have Freeman. They don't have Mookie Betts.
They have some. They have some, but they play the game. They play the game the right way. They do play the game the right way.
It was like last night was well balanced, not just the home runs. I mean,
Well, they had 3 home runs, but they still put the ball in play. They still
right.
did the things they needed to do. Yep.
I mean, even Ohtani the other night, he had a triple. That triple, that first inning, got him that run because Mookie Betts,
Well, forget about the triple. But the thing is, once they have a man on third or second with less than 2 outs, they usually find a way to put the ball in play. You know what? I'm going to play something that Larry Boa said the last show, and that's bite number 1. Joe, let me play bite number 1, where Boa talks about putting the ball in play, which is what the Dodgers did.
When we played the Dodgers, there were 2 plays that happened. One was a play that Turner made. It was a good play he made. He had to throw on the run. There was a man on third. They went on contact. He threw the ball to the first base side. If it's to the third base side, he's probably out. But he made a good play. The other is we know when Kerkering missed the ball that both those hitters broke their bats. They shattered their bats. But the bottom line is they didn't take it back to the dugout with strike 3. They made us make plays. We did not execute those plays. Those plays resulted in runs. Those plays enabled the Dodgers to move on just by putting the ball. It doesn't have to be 100 miles off the bat. Well, I don't even know if it was 50 miles an hour off the bat. But the fact they put the ball in play. There was an article in the paper the other day about Green, who's a very good player for Detroit. His comment was, well, I'm not worried about my strikeouts. He had over 200. And then the GM comes on and says, I'm worried about the strikeouts, which I admired him saying that. Strikeouts are not acceptable every single time. Now, I agree. When you hit 50 home runs, you're going to strike out. That's just the nature of the beast. Schmitty struck out. Bull struck out. They're home run hitters. Judge strikes out. He's a home run hitter. But there's so many guys that are striking out 150 to 200 times that aren't home run hitters. It's just a matter of mentally make an adjustment. 2 strikes. I'm going to put this ball in play.
And you know what? That's what the Phillies don't do. Hey, Tony, I got to run. I appreciate you jumping on. We'll talk about the Flyers next week. The Flyers are going to win a championship before the Sixers. Not anytime soon. Don't be fooled by what the Sixers did on Friday night. Don't be fooled. Tony, have a great weekend.
All right. See you later.
All right. Take care. All right. Now and for the people that have clicked in, hang in there. I'm going to talk to Marc Lawrence, but I'm going to get to you. I'm going to get to the callers after we talk to Marc Lawrence. Let's have Marc Lawrence join the program, and we'll take a look at the weekend football. Good morning, Marc. How are you?
Doing great, Howard. How are you doing?
Another day in paradise. A little cold in my area, colder than yours. It's 50 degrees out here now, but you'll have in the 80s in Florida. So,
well, we are in the 80s. That's correct.
It's all right. The Eagles better win on Sunday. But before we get to the pros, let's take a look at the college football and see what we got and see who you like. Who do you like in college football?
We've got a really nice looking card just in the fact that we've got 5 games that are matchups of ranked teams, which is good quality football. And I think there's a lot of good viewing to be seen there. But I'm going to go and fade a couple of teams in bubble burst situations. Teams that lost their first football game of the season as a favorite last week, and they're coming back as a favorite again this week. And those are really difficult to get back up off the mat from. The first, we're going to fade Oregon and use Rutgers, take 17.5 points. And I think this number is close to absurd. You're talking Greg Schiano, 17.5 at home. His team never quits, always gives the best effort. And you got Oregon in a terribly difficult spot here right now after that embarrassing performance last week. Rutgers plus 17.5 has to be a live dog.
What time is that game? I always try to look at those West Coast teams in Oregon still on West Coast time if it's noon, but I don't think it's noon. I think it's a 3:30 game. It's probably a 3:30 game. I'm looking as we speak right now, but I don't think it's a noon game, so it's not a disadvantage.
No, I don't know. It doesn't go that far. In fact, it's 6:30 tonight.
Oh, okay.
6:30.
All right. Who else do you like?
The other guy's going to be Oklahoma. We're going to fade the Sooners off their disappointing loss to Texas last week. I think they made a huge mistake when they brought John Mateer, their quarterback, back last week too early off of the injury, but they felt Texas was a bigger game than South Carolina is this week. And that's a mistake because they lose to Texas. Now they got to go down and play South Carolina. And this is a team, Howard, you mark this down, moving forward, no one is going to want to play South Carolina. They were really highly touted to begin the football season here. A lot of talent on this team. Their quarterback is Lenora Sellers. He was in the top 5 Heisman Trophy candidates list to start the season. He started out raggedly, so did the team, but now they have a buy sign. They look like they're starting to show that they're ready to come and play. I think they can pull the rug right out of Oklahoma here. I like South Carolina to win this whole game.
Is there any other team, not a bubble burst as you call it, that is coming off a loss with a big game coming up next week? It's kind of a sandwich coming off a loss. Is there any other team in that situation?
Well, I look for next week, and there aren't really a whole lot of quality matchups next week like we have this week for teams to be looking ahead. A lot of the big boys are getting a week off next week. But you do have, I think, a look-ahead possibility to UCLA, who all of a sudden is a player right now because since they fired their coach, they're playing some pretty good football. But they've got Indiana on deck next week, and that could be a big, big look ahead for UCLA. I think they could come up a little bit flat against Maryland in this football game, who's a pretty good team, by the way. And I think the biggest letdown here obviously has to be Northwestern after they pulled the big rug, the big surprise against Penn State. So, got to make them the letdown, and I think UCLA the look ahead.
And Northwestern's playing Purdue. They're playing at home, but Purdue's a decent team. They're not a bad team.
Yeah, they're a very good team. They're taking 3 points. Very well-coached team. Barry Odom he's coached a couple of good programs, Missouri and the like. I think they're the better football team personally, but this is really, truly, I think, a huge letdown spot here in this situation for Northwestern.
You know what? There's some other teams that you West Virginia stinks this year. I looked at that because UCF should have been better this year, and they have not played that well, or not well enough, not as well as people had expected.
West Virginia, no, terribly. They signed Rich Rodriguez. He came back home and everything looked good. They got out of the gate real well. But now they're finding out that Rich Rodriguez didn't really inherit much. The cupboard was bare when Rich Rodriguez got there. You can't count on season opening win over Robert Morris as much of anything. But then they did upset Pittsburgh, so they looked like they were okay at 2-1. But they've really struck a leak here right now at West Virginia here, and they have problems. They got beat bad last game. The BYU loss was a whole lot worse than the scoreboard said. They gave up over 500 yards in the contest here. And I like UCF. I think this is a football team that is really under the radar. They had some quarterback issues. They have a lot of talent on this football team. And I think they're a team that's going to make a lot of noise going on out here. I would only look at UCF here.
All right. Is Vanderbilt one of those? They lost last week? Were they a favorite last week, and now they're a favorite again? Were they a favorite last week, Vanderbilt?
No, they weren't a favorite last week, and if they were, they'd be a bubble burst. They took a dozen from Alabama last week. But mentally, I think the whole mindset is there that their perfect season, which everybody was patting them on the back about, is gone. It's ruined. There's no question. The thing that bothers me here for Vanderbilt, if I'm Vanderbilt, they're playing an LSU team that has completely dominated them in the past. They've won 10 straight games, all as double-digit favorites. And now Vanderbilt's laying points to LSU, the top 10 ranked team in the polls here right now. This looks like a WTF wrong team favorite in this football game here. I think LSU is the live dog.
You know what? Teams that I don't think people pay a lot of attention to. I guess bettors pay attention to everything. Utah's a good team, and BYU I don't think is as good as at least I thought they would be. And Utah is favored at BYU, which probably doesn't happen that often, which that line's kind of telling me something that Utah might be the side.
That's exactly what I was going to tell you, that line has to be telling you something.
Yeah.
And Utah is that good, really, really highly touted to begin the season. They've played good. They've only got one loss in the season. Everybody forgets that, just the one loss they had against, who was it, Texas Tech, I believe. Yeah, early in the season, who's arguably the hottest team in college football right now. Utah's held 3 opponents to season low yardage marks, and I think they exposed BYU here. BYU's an okay team. They're not in the level at Utah right now, and that's why the Utes are the favorite here.
Yeah. All right. Let's take a look. Utah is a good team, and BYU is
Yes,
just
sir.
not as good. Not as good as I think people expected there this year. All right. Let's take a look at the NFL. And who do you like?
I'm going to take a look at 2 underdogs here that I think are playing well enough where the opponent is going to look down at them and make a mistake because they are playing well enough. They're not much on paper, but I think the opponents can and play down to their level. The first is going to be Las Vegas taking a bunch of points, a dozen points here from Kansas City in a big division football game. You have to make a good case to lay 12 points to a division opponent. And the case I don't think can be made for Kansas City here. I know they've come alive of late here. They've pretty good in 3 of the last 4 football games, but 3 of the last 4 doesn't make a season. And you've also got a Las Vegas football team that has held 3 opponents to season low yardage marks. They're playing really good, sneakily, defensively. Las Vegas is here. I think they can get Kansas City to play down to their level here. I got to play them plus the 12
You know what,
points.
Mark? I'm just going to interject something else, and I didn't see it, but Craig Carton, who I know well, I saw. I forget which platform he's on right now, but he said that Dan Campbell mentioned on a radio show that they took a touchdown away from Detroit playing Kansas City on a penalty. First of all, I didn't think when you review a touchdown, you can't change it because somebody in New York or wherever at Secaucus saw a penalty and they took a touchdown away from them. And I don't remember seeing the play, and there wasn't a big deal made about it. But Dan Campbell apparently mentioned that on a radio show uh, based on a penalty. They reversed the
The
touchdown, the
score?
score, and they took a touchdown away from. My point is, I can't believe the NFL and the officials try to help, Kansas City, but there's a lot of things that have been curious over the last couple of years with calls that they do get. Do you recall that play? I know you can't watch every game.
I don't recall the play, but I have heard about it, and it seems odd to me that the National Football League would do something like that, would put a score or take a score away from a team on a review. You can do penalties in situations like that, but Dan Campbell had to be absolutely livid, and I'm sure he'll well remember that. And I'm a little bit surprised also that he had to sound off on that and not so much the press.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, it's just not everybody can watch everything, but it is you can't reverse because somebody in New York saw a penalty. Uh, I don't think you can reverse it on that. Uh,
Hey, Howard, we've seen the tush push, and we've seen some plays where they've been
well,
offsides, but
yeah,
that and they miss it because of the obviously because of the condition of the play, but nothing involving a score, which is I think
no,
really
right.
really
I
horribly
think the
bad.
tush push is gone because it can't be officiated. You have to watch it on video unless the officials are allowed to look at that play on a video review to see if they were offsides or not. If they implement that, then the tush push will stay. If they don't implement that, I think the tush push is gone. It's too hard.
I think that's a real good call on the tush push because something has to be done, obviously, and if they did something like that, that could help perhaps keep it
Yeah,
alive.
I mean, first of all, it's a boring play anymore. They ran 4 in a row. Was it last week they ran 4 in a row or against I forget which team. Was it?
It's a rugby play, is
Yeah,
what it
right.
is.
Well, they have a rugby player, so maybe we mile out it. All right. Who else do you like in the NFL?
The other guy's going to be Arizona taking 7 from Green Bay, and seven's a big number in the National Football League. And when you're talking laying 7 points, you better have much the better team, and the opponent must be obviously not interested in the game. Arizona is going to be interested in this football game. They started out pretty well. They end up with some unfortunate injuries and some very, very close call losses here. I think if you look back, you may correct me if I'm wrong here, but there are 3 losses in a row they've had here are by like a total of 6 or 7 points. Really, really close in every football game they've played. And you got a Green Bay Packer football team that I think right now they're on a roll. They've only the one loss and they had a tie also, but a little bit tad overrated in my mind here. And I think Arizona, this is a huge game for them to keep them alive and breathing. and they've got the talent to do just that. I like Arizona plus the
You
7.
know what? Have you bought into the Patriots yet? And they're laying a big number on the road against a bad team. But have you bought into the Patriots yet?
Well, the big number is largely because of Mike Vrabel. Okay, I'm sure there's a point or two in there because it's his homecoming, going back
Oh,
home
that's
where he
right.
used to
Yeah.
coach. But last week the win against New Orleans was solid. It was only 6 points. It's not to say a lot, but they finally won the yards. They've been out yarded 4 of their 5 previous games. So no, I'm not completely sold on New England. They got to start doing a better job of winning the game in the stats on the playing field, which they're not doing.
How bad is Miami when Cleveland's a favorite?
Well, that speaks for itself.
Right.
I mean, my goodness, poor Miami. Now, but the Browns a favorite? That's another question here. You've got 2 bad football teams this week laying points in the Browns and in Carolina. My goodness, I don't think both of them are going to get home with the money. And Miami's really falling apart, not just on the scoreboard, but in the locker room and where everything else counts. The last 2 games they've been beat. They look like they're competitive. They lose by 2 and 3 points. They allowed season high yards in both of those games. Their defense is falling apart at the threads at Miami here, and there's no way in the world I could look at possibly entertaining taking them plus the points against Cleveland because Cleveland is bad.
Okay. There's some games where the points, I kind of wonder about them. One of which is Dallas, after losing last week, is a 1.5 favorite against Washington. I don't know that I like the game, but Dallas being a favorite kind of tells me something. Would that be a side in your opinion?
Well, I'm not a big Dallas Cowboy
not
fan.
either.
They've got a lot of defensive problems on that team, and I don't think the offense is where it should be with a good enough quarterback like Dak Prescott is. And I think this game, I know Dallas is not, I don't think Dallas is going anywhere, but this game is, to me, is much more important for Washington, a football team that right now is sitting here and needing the victory a little bit more than they've got Jaden Daniels back, which is a big, big boost for this football program here. I'm going to lean small to Washington in the game. I don't think this is another team. Dallas should be favored, another bad favorite on the card this
If
week.
it wasn't the Jets, would Carolina ever be favored on the road this year?
No. No.
You want to think the Jets, well, Jets don't mean anything to me. They got to win a game sooner or later. And this, I would think, might be a situation. Do you like it's 2 bad teams, but do you like a side in that game?
Yeah, I do. There's a buy sign that came to me with the Jets last week. Number one, first of all, winless teams at this stage of the season, you start out 0-6 or worse, you have to continually keep playing them, and you're going to go to the pay window more than you're not until they get that first win. Because if they lose, they're going to play competitive. Number two, in that loss last week, it was a tough loss, if you will, that little 2-point loss to Denver. They held the Broncos to a season low 246 yards on defense. So if they can bring that same defensive intensity into this football game here, they could win their first game.
So you kind of like the Jets a little bit, huh?
Yes, I do.
All right.
Yes, I do.
But some of these, the Chargers, I think should be favored. I think they're a better team than they've played. And I know you're waiting for Indianapolis to get beat, right? At some point.
Yeah, I'm calling them the Oscar Mayer football team, the phony baloney this year. The Indianapolis Colts. Everybody's in love with them. They only have 1 loss in the season, and I can understand that. But, I keep hitting on these allowing season highs and gaining highs and lows and all that stuff. They've allowed season high yardage in 4 of the last 5 football games. You cannot allow season high yards and go up against a good quality team like the Chargers and be in a win situation. In the travel on the West Coast here, I think the Chargers are much the better team, and I like them against the Colts on Sunday.
All right, a team that has not out-yarded another team, and we're going to touch on the Eagles, would be the Eagles. They still have not out-yarded a team in any game they played this year. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's the big bugaboo from a handicapping standpoint that tells you there's something not right there. And obviously we know there's something not right with the Eagles. Whether it's offensively, whether it's defensively, they're just not clicking and hitting on the cylinders that they were last year. And unfortunately for the Eagles, they're going to take on a pretty good football team here in Minnesota. And I think this game is being priced because the Eagles are the defending Super Bowl champions. If it was priced on their body of work, it would be Minnesota the favorite in the football contest. So that makes it difficult for me. The Eagles are going to be playing better, but I can't bet on a team that I think is going to be playing better who's been playing poorly. I'm going to stay at home with Minnesota in the football
So you
game.
do like Minnesota?
Yes,
Okay.
I do.
To win the game, well, actually with 2.5, It's going to be close anyway. They could win the game.
Yes, it is.
Can you imagine
Right.
if Minnesota won with Carson Wentz at quarterback?
Yeah, that would be that'd be a big, huge marquee for him, to say the least, to come back on the
Philadelphia
Eagles.
would go crazy. It would almost be laughable. But the Eagles are in such a weak division that I don't even know that a lot.
They're going to get away with it.
Yeah,
Yes.
that they can get away with these, because I think, going to next week, I don't think you lose to the same team twice in 3 weeks. That's why I think they beat the Giants next week. They play the Giants next week. So it's really hard to do that. All right, Mark, if people have interest in your services, 800-321-7777 or on the internet, playbooksports.com. Mark, if Carson Wentz beats the Eagles, I'm telling you, Phil, they might burn that stadium down.
There'll be riots. Trump will send the military into
Yeah,
Philadelphia.
I know these people will be yelling at him when they play at home the following week, next week.
Right.
All right. Take care. You know what? Can you check? Do you have a line? Somebody put up on a comment here. Washington's now a 2.5 point favorite this morning. I haven't seen that. They're still the underdog, right? On the numbers you have, aren't they still the underdog?
Let me take a quick look here. I've got my score,
Yeah.
my lines up here right now. Washington.
Yeah.
Washington right now. I'm looking for them here. No, they're a small
Yeah, they're
dog
still
here.
a small dog. That's why you can't believe everything that everybody said. Hey, Ken, that's all right. Relax here, Ken. Ken is the one that sent in the comment. Mark, have a great week, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Howard, enjoy the games. Be
All
well.
right,
Thank you.
thanks. Marc Lawrence taking a look at the weekend football. All right, I'm going to there's some people on the line. I'm going to get to you, but first I want to tell you about that I have not announced the winner of last week's prize, who answered the question correctly. Larry Boa identified the first 5 players that he would have in his lineup, and that winner is Michael Langish, who was selected at random. Other people had the correct answer, but he was selected at random. He wins the autographed Mike Schmidt Hall of Fame postcard. Michael, congratulations. The players both said, assuming Crawford would be up, Crawford, Turner, Harper, Schwarber, Bohm. And Michael, you answered that question correctly. We'll have another question for you towards the end of this show to win another Mike Schmidt autograph, a Mike Schmidt autographed baseball. And I'll have a question coming up towards the end of the show. By the way, I do want to mention that I will say, let me take care of, before I get to some business here. AJ Brown, I don't know. Stay off social media, AJ. You're trying to have fun, and he posted something on Instagram, and it's kind of interesting. The players that he put, the players he put on his Mount Rushmore of Eagles players. Let's hear what AJ Brown had to say.
It's kind of on my bucket list. It's kind of not, but I want to jump out of an airplane, but I can't do it while I'm playing football. So who knows? Maybe I do it someday, maybe I don't. Or maybe you won't ever know. I'll put the beloved Jason Kelce. Then I'll put Nick Foles because he beat my favorite team growing up. So that's up to you. And I'll put myself, and I'll put T.O.
Okay. All right. Let's address this. First of all, T.O. was only here for about 1 year. T.O. can't be on the Mount Rushmore of Eagles players. I mean, it's ridiculous. Reggie White might be the best defensive lineman that ever played the game. He's got to be there somewhere. He's got to be there. But what's interesting, Nick Foles had a great Super Bowl, and he'll be legendary for Philadelphia Eagles fans forever. That might have been the only Mount Rushmore usually is a body of work with a team for a period of time. But do you find it, and I'm going to ask this question, do you find it interesting that he didn't put Jalen Hurts on his Mount Rushmore? Now, Nick Foles statistically had a better Super Bowl than Jalen Hurts, no question. But they were both MVPs. They both won Super Bowls, and Jalen Hurts is his teammate. I'm just asking a question. Do you find it interesting? Just asking a question. All right, I'm going to get to your calls, but first, I want to tell you about some important people of this program, and the presenting sponsor is certainly important. Stillwell Financial Advisors, Jeff Stillwell. He's sharper than a tack. It's a cliche. Actually, I shouldn't use cliches because the Eagles in their press conferences love cliches. I love cliches, But Jeff really does know his stuff. Financially, if you have wealth that you want to invest, Jeff is the guy because he knows his stuff. Sharp guy, really good guy. You ought to give him a call. I mean, just check it out. 732-343-0813. Jeff Stillwell Financial Advisors. When I talk about cliches, Nick Sirianni, in his news conference on Friday, he said he used the term at the end of the day. It was I think it might have been 5 times in a 20-second period. Within 20 seconds, he used end of the day, at the end of the day, at least 4 times and maybe 5. I heard that. I said, at the end of the day, we're not at the end of the day. I feel bad for Nick because he's been clamped down with everything not to say, so he can't say anything. Hey, listen, just the truth will set you free. He's a good guy, and I still think he's a really good coach. And he's got a personality, and he says nothing during these news conferences. It's almost the questions, doesn't matter what the questions are. It's almost a waste of time because he never really answers the question. I understand injuries. I get all that. But it's just brutal listening to these news conferences. And then Jalen Hurts is loaded with cliches when he has to have one news conference during the week with the media, and he's loaded with cliches. I just like cliches. Some of them are good, but when you overuse them, they're no good. All right, let me tell you about some other important people for this program. And that would be Audi Westchester. Audi Westchester, great deal. I want somebody to tell me where you can get 3.99% financing on an automobile nowadays. Not even close. And Audi Westchester financing 3.99% for up to 72 months on the following new Audis: new redesigned A5, Q5, SQ5, Q5 Sportback, the SQ5 Sportback, and the Q6 e-tron rear-wheel drive. If you stop by Audi Westchester, you're going to have fun because when you look at cars, you have fun. The people there, great people, going to have fun. You grab a cup of coffee, some snacks. Located 1421 Wilmington Pike. It's worth your while to go out and check on all these new vehicles with that financing, which for 72 months is unbelievable. And the deal, the special offer won't last long. The A5, the Q5, the SQ5, the Q5 Sportback, the SQ5 Sportback, and the Q6 e-tron rear-wheel drive. Check it all out, AudiWestchester.com. Also, Piazza Property Pros, important to this program, the Howard Eskin Show, because they are a loyal partner, and Piazza Property Pros can do so many good things to your property, for your property. 25 years of experience should tell you all you need to know. 25 years. They don't subcontract. They do it themselves, whether it's excavation, hardscaping, fencing, landscaping, pool maintenance. If you have a pool, you want to build a pool, obviously you can see and by the things that I've showed you, they really know their stuff, do a great job. They'll work within your budget. Give them a call, 610-566-2608. You can schedule a free consultation. As I've told you before, not all consultations by these companies are free. The number again, 610-566-2608, or check them out on their website, piazzaoutdoor.com. All right. The Eagles need to win, and the Eagles need to win, and the Phillies, they got to do something better than the stuff that they're doing. I don't know what changes they're going to make. They keep on talking about, or the talk is trading Alec Alec Boehm. It's just you can't trade him. He's the best contact hitter in your lineup. I don't get it. I don't understand it. But how many people agree or disagree that they're quite a ways behind the Los Angeles Dodgers when you watch the way they play the game? All right, Joe, we have some people that want to come on the program. You have some people there. All right, who do we got first here? Okay, let's go to Chris. Chris, you're on the Howard Eskin Show.
Hey, good morning, Howard.
How are you?
Hey, it's another day, another dollar, you know?
Well, you hope so.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, hopefully. So, great show so far, of course, but where to start? It was a bad Thursday last week with the Eagles and the Phillies. But the Phillies, what do you think about that press conference with McPhail?
You mean with
Not McPhail, oh, Jesus, what's his name?
Dombrowski?
Dombrowski. I'm sorry.
and Rob Thompson. I
Yeah.
thought it was boring. It was kind of a waste of time, but they have to do it at the end of the year. So
Right.
because they have to do it, but say something. You can't mention names of players that are due to become free agents because that's considered tampering. But you can talk about the players that need to improve. We've got to, you don't want to indicate, but give you some indication. If you're going to trade Alec Boehm, give me a reason why. If you're going to, hey, listen, we've got to do better here. We got to get better defensively. We got to improve our infield. And Rob Thompson, all he does is talk about how they played hard. Well, if you're not playing hard, they shouldn't be in the major leagues.
Yeah, right.
It
Exactly.
was. I didn't hear anything that was said, which I can say, oh, okay. It's just they're going to do this, or they might do this based on what he said. You can tap dance it around a little bit. It's just brutal. Like, why can't this team put the ball in play? Why
Well,
can't
it's the
they
same problem every year. It's just, and especially playoff time. It's the same. When I watched that press conference, I said, okay, he's reading a script from last year because it's the same nonsense. Oh, we're not going to change. We're keeping the same coaching staff. Da 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 da. Yeah, it's like it's. I'm starting to think they're like the Sixers. We're good enough during the season. And then we
No,
get to
no,
the
no, no, no,
playoffs.
no. The Sixers aren't good enough during the season. So
Well, not
that's a waste of
anymore.
no, not anymore.
Well, not anymore. But back when they
Don't
were
be
winning.
fooled. Don't be fooled
Yeah.
by a preseason game one Friday night
Oh,
because
I didn't even watch it. I'm
because he scored
fed up
against
with
Joe
them.
Smith, Harry Smith, and Sam Smith.
Right.
It's
Right.
just, I mean, give me a break. Well, he almost
Oh,
had
they're
a
gonna have
triple
bad.
double. Almost had a triple double. Wait a minute. He was 3 rebounds away from a double, and he was 2 assists away from a double. It just was an assist. Yeah, I guess it was assist. I mean, like, who cares? It's just,
Well, the Sixers just
yeah,
disgusting.
yeah.
I don't even.
But all right,
I
so how far behind the Dodgers do you think the Phillies are?
I quite a bit now. I mean, the Dodgers know how to win and they know how to get the hits when they need to get the hits,
Yep.
and they're not trying to slug home runs. They're putting the ball in play. Small ball, which the Phillies cannot do. They just can't do it.
Yeah, no. And the press conference, somebody here, Dale says it was lip service. They have to have it. You got to throw out something. You got to give some people
Yeah.
an indication. You're not going to stand pat. You're not going to stand pat.
Well, they
So
can't.
no, but you got to improve the lineup in some way, shape, or form.
Now, how much of this is on the hitting coach? I mean, he's been around. These guys, are they not listening to him? Is he telling them, you need to be patient and take pitches and quit swinging at stuff that's in the dirt and stuff that's out of the zone? Make the pitcher pitch. I mean,
well,
Tiny,
Larry
Tiny.
Boa talked about it on the last show. First of all, he didn't say anything about the hitting coach. It's not his fault. He tells players or he tries to help players in what to do. And if they don't listen, if you don't shorten your swing, you don't choke up on the bat with 2 strikes, you don't do the things you need to do, you can't just keep on hitting home runs. Listen, let's play that other bite we have of Larry Boa, Joe, and listen to this, Chris. Larry Boa made some good points about the offense. Let's hear from Boa.
You got to buy in on that. If everyone's not bought in on it, it's not going to work.
Yep.
And I'm not asking Harper and Schwarber. I want them hitting balls out of the ballpark. There's no question about that. But the rest of our lineup, I'd like to see us all in on, okay, I got 2 strikes. I'm going to spread out a little bit. I'm going to make somebody catch this baseball. And I think it's a mindset. It's not they don't have the ability. They all have the ability. It's a matter of do they want to do it. But again, now we go back to why are guys getting paid? They're getting paid for hitting balls in the seats. Pitchers are getting paid to strike out hitters. And so maybe as a industry, we're creating these problems by paying guys if they hit 25 or 30 in the seats, strike out 250. What do you do the other 450 at bats? You hit your 30 home runs. What do you do the other 450?
When you put the ball in play, anything can happen.
Anything.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
it's pretty
good.
simple. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not rocket science, and the hitting
No.
coach knows that. So, it's just all right. The Eagles do what on Sunday, Chris?
Well, they need to win the game. Number one.
I know they need to win. What
So,
do they do on Sunday?
well, what they need to do is, the run is they're a running team. They need to stick with the run. They need to get creative. The pass rush needs to be there. The number one. I mean, because there's all kinds of different issues here. The pass rush on our side, on defense, the corners. We know what the deal with the corners is.
The one thing
The
you
play.
didn't mention, you didn't.
What's that?
Just stop with the play calling. Stop it. It's not the.
Oh, I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Oh, I thought you were going to say play calling.
No.
You didn't
No.
mention the quarterback. Quarterback's got to be better.
Well, I was getting ready to say the quarterback had a
but you
bad
put it
game
too
last
far.
week.
You put it too far down the line. Wait a minute.
Well,
I don't think
I
they
was getting
scored
to
a
him.
point in the second half of the last 3 games.
No, they've been horrible, and the quarterback needs to take a lot. It's a lot on him. It's the whole team. The whole.
I'm just calling you
Oh
out
yeah.
there, Chris.
Oh no. I'm not defending. Look. He needs to do a better job. All the players, the AJ Brown stuff. I don't want to even get into that. I mean, that's nonsense. Him going out there, it doesn't help inside the locker room. You know what happens when teams start losing. Shit falls apart when you got a guy out there that wants to get on social media and all this other crap. So I'm not
AJ's
even
got to
going.
stay off social media. I know he tried to have fun with his post the other day, but he just
Yeah.
created another question. Hey, Chris, have a great weekend.
Hey, you too, and go Birds. And yeah, like you said earlier, they got to beat Carson Wentz because you don't want that. I'll tell you that right now.
No.
All right, have a good weekend, Howard.
All right, you
Take
too.
care.
All right. I saw somebody that joined with the name of Spike. Is there a Spike there that joined? No, I don't know. I don't think he would call in because he wouldn't want to be backed down by me. He's already back on the Embiid train. Joel Embiid, I still put the over under this year for the Joel Embiid of 40 games played. And if that's all he's going to, Sixers are not. I think he posted something which is like bullshit. The Sixers were plus 550 to win the division, and now they're plus 450. What does that mean? Just because Embiid played. That has nothing to do with the ability of the team or to think that they're going to be better. He played. I think the Sixers played him, and they only played him like 18, 19 minutes. I think they played him because they are struggling to sell tickets for the home opener, which I think is next, not tonight, but next Saturday, as we do the show today, Saturday. I think they're trying to sell tickets because anybody that spends $300 and some for a lower level seat, and there's a whole bunch of them that are $300 and some per ticket, has to have their head checked. You have to have a mind check or commit yourself somewhere. I mean, that is unbelievable. Unbelievable to spend that kind of money for one ticket, for one ticket. And that's just lower level, towards the baselines. It's just, it's a joke. It's a joke. I don't know. Where do you see, uh, uh, where do you see the tickets that go online right before the game? They'll be giving the tickets away, and they're playing Charlotte. Who the hell wants to see Charlotte? Uh, Maxi's a good player, but he's not. He can't carry a team, but he's a very good player, and he's a great guy. Edgecom. I mean, who knows about Edgecom? McCain. How does he fit in? How does he fit in? All right. Do we have some other people that are on the line, Joe, that want to join? Uh, Hey, Steve, you got to have audio. Steve, join. This is pretty simple. When you click on the link, which is on the chat line, you see that where it says, would like to access the microphone and camera, put allow. Now, if you don't want the camera, when you see the camera icon, you can click on that and cross it out. But it's pretty easy to do that. And if you want to join the program, there's so many people that jumped on, and you don't have to have video, but you got to have audio because we have to hear what you have to say. So if you want to click on the show, you can do that. Is my son allowed to come on? Yeah, but he won't come on because he knows I'll bury him. Bury him about the Sixers, not about the other things. I mean, he's got sense about other things. But when you start buying in to Joel Embiid because he played 18 or 19 minutes of a preseason game for the first time in I don't know how many games, it's ridiculous. And then they spent all that money, it's like 50 some million on Paul George. He's a rumor now. He's a rumor. It's just Daryl Morey. And I know people are all excited they hired Bob Myers, or the ownership hired Bob Myers, who was the president and general manager of the Golden State Warriors when they put that together. He's recognized as being good. However, he's not gotten a job back in the NBA, and I don't know why. Now, he technically has a job with the Sixers. He was working for the football team, which is owned by Josh Harris and Harris Blitzer, the company. So he was already employed by the company. They kind of threw him there. I don't know if they gave him more money. Unless they get rid of Daryl Morey, it doesn't make any sense. And they're still stuck with Embiid's contract for 2 or 3 more years. Paul George for 3 more years. They don't have a first round pick next year because they got the first round pick this year. They traded that away. It's just the Sixers are frauds. If anybody out there, first of all, the NBA sucks. All right, let's break that down to its simplest form. The NBA sucks. And I mean, they really are not. The NBA is just not a good product. I don't know how else to explain it. But the Sixers, but they're playing Charlotte. They're playing Charlotte. I mean, come on. Is Charlotte like you really want to pay that kind of money to see Charlotte? I see, Chris. Nothing excites him about the Sixers. Sixers are frauds. You know what? It's. I don't know if it's even entertainment anymore. Guys shoot threes. Like, is it a big deal that guys shoot threes? Is it a big deal? Yeah, I just. But whatever. It is what it is. By the way, also, I use that too much too. By the way, but by the way, I will post, and I want to thank people. Thank people very much for donating for my picks for college and pros. The Howard's Picks page. It goes to really, really, really good organizations, Brandywine Valley SPCA and Providence Animal Center. The money that you donate, and it's really inexpensive for the picks for the games. It's that money goes to help the dogs and cats and the animals. It's just it, it's a joke. I see. It's a joke how good they are that people don't want to help. They don't want to help, but the page will go up shortly. And if you donate, I always thank you and always appreciate it. I remember Pat put up a comment here. Daryl Morey makes trades for players that put the fear of God in other teams. Remember that Buddy Hield? Remember when he got Buddy Hield? He says when he comes down the court, he puts the fear of God in the other teams. And here he couldn't shoot that well. He's doing well. Where did he go? Did he go to Golden State? Did he go to Golden State? I forget where he went, but he played much better than he played here. There's something about this team where players just don't fit in. I just don't remember. They just don't fit in. It's just they just don't fit in. They don't fit in. Cowboy Jim's got to work today, and one of the reasons today I would have appreciated him because I would have killed him after the Cowboys lost to Carolina. All right, the Phillies got to do, and we're going to go the whole winter with wondering what they're going to do. There's some free agents out there, and one free agent, and I saw a story. One free agent was Kyle Tucker, who played this year with the Cubs. Nice player, very nice player. But Kyle Tucker, and somebody reported that the Phillies would be interested in signing him. Yeah, they would, but then they put $300 million. Is Kyle Tucker? Kyle Tucker can't get that kind of money. I just can't believe he's a nice player and he would fit within the team. But the one thing Rob Thompson did say the other day, they do have a lot of left-handers in the lineup, and that just adds another left-hander. I don't know if that's the way to go. And Kyle Schwarber is another big free agent. Ranger Suarez won't be back because he's going to get paid because his agent, Scott Boras, is going to make sure he gets paid. I would like to see, and I see a comment out there, how about Pete Alonso? I would like to see if he doesn't go back to the Mets, I would like to see Pete Alonso. However, and there's a big however, I don't think Harper wants to move from first base. And that would be a challenge because they want to keep Bryce Harper happy. Who would be my top priority to sign as a free agent? Well, Kyle Tucker's nice, and I haven't watched him enough to see if he's a contact hitter. They need players that make contact. I mean, it's that simple. But they got to change just for the sake of change. They've got to change, and they got to go out and get a contact hitter. It's nice to hit home runs, but Boa pointed it out. It's nice to hit home runs, but it's brutal. It's brutal that too many players swing for home runs, and strikeouts aren't a big deal. Strikeouts are a big deal. All right, here is the question for you to win a Mike Schmidt autographed baseball. And a nice ball cube there. It's just the question is, who was on A.J. Brown's Mount Rushmore of Eagle players? Who was on his Mount Rushmore of Eagle players? Answer that question. You'd submit it to my website at howardeskin.com. By midnight on Tuesday, October 21st. The show on Wednesday, I'll announce the winner. The show's at 7:30. If you've won, you will hear your name live on X, Twitter. I still call it Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. Winner will be randomly chosen from all the correct entries. So you do that. Um, and if you subscribe to YouTube, you'll be notified when we do the show live. And I would suggest you do that because that's the easiest thing. If you ask for, you can get that with Twitter too. I imagine. Herb has a comment here. Do the Dodgers have a lot of free agents this year? They need to get rid of some of their players because they're too good. They will always win a World Series. Not fun watching. Well, it's fun if you like baseball the way it's supposed to be played. That's fun watching them. If you don't like the Dodgers, you don't like the Dodgers, and people don't like the Dodgers. Why is it not fun watching Ohtani? I mean, come on now. He's a pitcher who's lights out. I'm going to give you who's lights out and he can hit. I remember, and I'll conclude with this today. So you got the question, AJ's Mount Rushmore of Eagle players. I remember when there was a story, and I'm almost positive it was 60 Minutes. It was one of those CBS programs, but I'm pretty sure it was 60 Minutes. When they did a story on this player in Japan, and his name was Ohtani. You don't even have to say his first name anymore. Shohei Ohtani. I mean, Ohtani. They did a story on this player, and they talked about how good he was as a pitcher, and how really good he was as a pitcher, and how really good as he was as a hitter. I remember saying something. I saw the story, and I said something to John Middleton. Now, I don't think he was going to come here because those players like the Los Angeles area better than they do like these. They like the West Coast better than the East Coast. Obviously, closer if they want to get home by 5.5 hours, but whatever the case. I remember mentioning, I know I mentioned this, absolutely 100% mentioned this to John Middleton. I said, John, I saw a story on 60 Minutes about this player, and his name was Ohtani. And he can pitch and he can hit and he's really good. Yeah, we know about him, but basically he said, and I'm paraphrasing, but he pretty much said, yeah, we're not interested. Maybe at the time they didn't want to spend the money because he was going to cost a lot of money. We're not interested. The Phillies knew, I mean, everybody knew about him. How could you not know about him? Because you started to look at players from Japan who are really good players. I think the Phillies have had one or two that weren't that good, but there's some players out. I mean, Dodgers have some really good pitchers from Japan. But I remember saying that to him, and he said, yeah, we know about him, but we're really not interested. Was it the money? Was that the reason? Yeah, Bruce, I remember Rick Weiss had a no-hitter with 2 home runs against the Reds, but he didn't do it in the playoffs. And Rick Wise was a good pitcher, but he wasn't Ohtani. But anyway, I just thought I'd mention that. Don't be fooled by the Sixers Embiid. Don't be fooled. The Sixers are still kind of in the middle of the pack. Like, big deal. They're not going to win anything this year, but they played Embiid because they want you to buy tickets to the home opener. Go knock yourself out, and not me. All right. I want to thank you. It's always good to have Marc Lawrence on. Hey, listen, you make the bets. He makes the plays. He gives you the advice, but you make the bets. And I want to thank you and the people that joined. And it's really not that hard to join. You just got to learn how to click the right things, and you could be a part of the show too. Yeah, Ray, I remember that 1971, and Pete Rose was the last out. And after that season, they traded Rick Wise for Steve Carlton. That's when the Phillies made some good trades. Boy, they made some good. Rick Wise was involved in the trade, if I remember correctly, for Steve Carlton, who ended up winning 27 games after they traded for him. Sixers are con artists. I see another a comment. Yeah, there's a lot of good comments here. Yeah, we'll see everyone Wednesday at 7:30. Thanks to Joe Gangemi, the technical part on the other side, doing another great job. Tony Anastasia, who does a great job with all the graphics we have on the show. And thank you. And Patty, thank you. It was a great show, and thank you for joining. And you too have a great weekend. Thanks to everybody, and thanks for joining. And you were riding with the king. Thanks for joining the Howard Eskin Show. Have a great weekend.